Majin Buu has plenty of options on block. Starting out with his normals, all of his Ls are safe with a far-reaching fast low 2L. His 5L reaches far and high and has the ability to chain into itself to 4LL, which is his best dagger button. His 5LL is a deceptively far-reaching low that is a good null check on top of enforcing his overhead options. His 5M is a 27 frame standing overhead that is surprisingly -4 on block. 6M isn't particularly unique, but Majin Buu has 2 normal overhead options, and his 2M is 10 frames, sucks him in, and is very unsafe at -10, but you can see the utility of 2M pulling them in here. He has a strong clash root of 4LL, 2 and 4H, which gives him 6 frame, 6 frame, 8 frame. His string 5LL, 5S opens up many options with 236M cross-up, 2 and 4S for plus frames. Make sure to make the most out of this by 50-50ing them with a higher blockstun assist. 236L or H for same side overhead. Delay of 5H for a frame trap. 5H to 2 and 4S to be +1, but it's mashable. 5H to the overhead or cross-up. 236S, 2 frame trap and jail to vanish. 5S to 236H, which has a unique vacuum effect. 5H to 214M, which is a medium scaling frame trap. Or simply 5H into 214L to end your true string safely. The way that 214L ends with this spacing allows for falling JH to safe jump all 2Hs. If their 2H leaves them standing, you can convert with the JS to vanish. If they decide to block, you end up at +5. For general pressure, 2M to 6M is good to go for, since not only is it a low to overhead, but 2M to 6M combos on hit. Majin Buu can tick throw with 5LL and some assists, but you need to call the assist very early, typically with or before 2L. Against mediums and up, you can get up to 4 overheads from EX cartwheel. And finally, Majin Buu has a 50-50 with 2 and 4H. While you need at least a 40 frame assist, it is not guard cancelable on reaction. In mid-screen you need to do it from 2M to pull them in range for the 2L. Majin Buu has very strong IAD pressure. While he does have the universal ML, 2L, and DR, he has extra options. First, he has a triple overhead with 236L, that's a 19 frame overhead and 0 on block, but is 2Hable. To beat this 2H mash, you can do a 2M to frame trap. 236H is also 19 frames, but gives a full combo afterwards that doesn't need vanish, and it still gives a safe jump. Next, he has one of, if not the best cross-up in the game, EX Cartwheel, which is 6 frame startup, and it's a medium starter. This lets him do over 5k from a mid-screen combo for 1 bar into fat Toss Oki. And that combo can be a little bit challenging, so I'm including a more beginner-friendly one that has lower reward on hit and worse Oki, but is a good place to start. He can even fake a cross-up and go back same side with J236M. But finally, he can go straight from JM to a cross-up. The strength of this option is that it's a -1 that lets you clash with 7 frame characters or safely backdash. For general sliding knockdown Oki, you can do dash jump JL whiff and then air dash JH to safe jump. If you don't have enough meter to do 236H, then dash jump JL with no air dash JH safe jumps from 236M enter. If you start a combo from 236H, then you won't have access to SKD, however you should pretty much always get a soft knockdown safe jump that reaches the corner. You can just run them there. Or you can just IAD over them and send them back. Majin Buu's level 3 Oki is pretty good, and then it leaves you +40 and just out of IAD range. This makes mid-screen a little bit harder, but still doable. To safe jump, you'll need to moon jump, aka Goichi jump. You can typically time this right after they bounce on the ground. Once you learn to do this, you'll get all of the IAD options that we talked about. In the corner, you can do super jump IAD mix where you hold down forward to fast fall for the low, and you can hold up forward for the overhead. The timing is a bit tight, so you can just hold up forward and do JML to safe jump. Majin Buu typically sets up his fat Toss Oki from 2 different enders. First is 236L or M, and the second is Air DR. While these both leave him +18 and hit midi, they work a bit differently. Here you can see that they hit at different heights. Because of this, from Air DR you can act 7 frames faster, and from the 236X ender you can move 2 frames faster. This is shown more clearly through the frame data indicator when reflecting. There are some big pros to the Air DR setup. First, it lets you jail on IAD JM. This isn't possible with the 236X ender. But since you're effectively plus 28, you can jail neutral jump 50/50s with assists as low as 25 frames blockstun since our mix-up requires 53 frames to work with. This is pretty tight, but it gives a bit more leeway with even beam assists. There is one big downside to the setup. Up tech avoids it. If you want to cover all techs, you can just microdash into Fat Toss to make it the same as 236X Ender. However, the only thing you'll lose to is up tech into a frame 4 option. Rising JL beats up tech mash, and if they up tech double jump, JL still lets you jail a 50/50 with an assist. For either setup, if they decide to try to vanish out or mash on wake up, they'll get caught in the fat. This gives you way more than enough time to confirm and lets your assist regen by the time you finish your combo. Since the 236X Ender makes Fat Toss hit meaty higher, it lets you cover up to 9 frames of delay tech. The Air DR Ender only covers 4 frames of delay tech unless you microdash. Majin Buu can restand by himself after J236H by doing IAD JM to break the fat, which leaves him 0 on block, and then JL. The strength of this setup comes from the ability to buffer your 6 frame option while they have to manually time theirs. This lets you easily get your turn started again while seemingly skipping Oki. If they try to reversal vanish, the 5L autocorrects the direction, so you just have to react to the 5L hitting to confirm. If they reflect away, you are still plus 9 when you land, so you can dash up 5L and keep your turn. You can OS 2H attempts by buffering a backdash after JL. This will only come out if the JL would not connect with them. If they try to backdash away, the JL will catch them as long as you time it properly. And it will also catch them trying to jump away, so they'll be forced back into the block string. Once they learn to respect it, you can enforce all of the mix-ups from IAD JML that we went over earlier. Majin Buu has a solo tick throw setup from his restand. However, it doesn't have a hitstun requirement. If you do a full combo, you'll be left at minus 20 on the restand, which leaves you vulnerable to be mashed on both options. If you do a combo with around 9 hits before going into the restand, then you'll be left at minus 12, which is perfect for this setup. A more practical situation is from a Ki Blast to Vanish combo. Here you can see that the low option meaties vanish. You can even loop the tick throw setup as long as you have the bar to do so. Recently, there was an even better solo restand option found by Chaos Origin. After doing this combo, jump forward and slightly delay an air dash, then JM to break the fat, followed by an EX cartwheel. This will be a cross-up medium starter that frame traps 2H and vanish. To do the same set option, simply delay the air dash a little less. Sadly, the same set option doesn't lead to as much damage with the restand or sliding knockdown, though it is still a good chunk. The only downside to this setup is it a bit more difficult to do against small characters. As you remember, when breaking the fat, they are restood and you are both neutral. We can take advantage of this by breaking the fat while airborne. When paired with an assist to meaty, this allows us to mix. The timing for each assist will be different, so make sure to test against vanish. In the corner, you can decide whether to leave cross-up as an option or not by dashing them into the corner before breaking the fat. A different way of setting up the restand is to use assists that keep them standing. For this method, you use the assist to break the fat and you meaty them with the mix-up. The only downside to this setup is that the cross-up becomes much more difficult mid-screen, so they would be able to reflect without worrying about cross-up inputs. However, they still have to worry about reflect baits. This setup even works with Janemba A assist since the first hit leaves them standing. You don't need to worry about reflect in the same way you typically would from a Ki Blast assist mix, at least in the corner, since the cross-up option mixes up their inputs. I know that was a lot to digest, so feel free to come back and check out these sections as often as you need to. There will be timestamps below, along with the link to the Majin Buu Discord. You can ask questions either in the Discord or in the comments below, and I'll try to get back to you when I get the chance. Thank you for watching, and enjoy mixing.